We've had so many presentations during the week covering family life, covering finances, covering health, and also importantly, covering our spiritual lives. So as we start our afternoon program, I'd like to welcome you all who are physically here joining us at Golden Peacock Conference Center. And I'd also like to welcome those who are joining remotely through the various social media channels, those who are joining us through the channel, through the Times page on Facebook, those who are also joining us through the YouTube channel for Times and other social media platforms. You are so welcome, and we are also so thankful that you've been with us for the whole week as we have been going through this program. So as we start our program, we are going to have a presentation shortly by Dr. Gandy Madzalo. For the past few days, he has been presenting to us on health, and we've learned so much. Health and looking at health, not just relying on medicine, but looking at preventive medicine, lifestyle as a way to wellness and to wholesome living. So we're going to have the final session for today, and we're also going to have a special song by our group, Area 47 Youth Choir. So as we start, shall we bow our heads for a word of prayer? Let us pray. Kind and loving Father in heaven, we thank you for you are faithful, you are kind, and you are true. And we thank you for the way you've led us in the whole week, even up to this day of the Sabbath. We thank you that you were with us in the morning, and as we are starting the afternoon section, may you be with us. May you go before us. May you teach us what you want us to learn and to understand. And more than just information, Father, may you help us to believe what we learn and to practice and implement it in our lives. We thank you for your love and grace, for we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So I will invite Area 47 Youth Choir to be coming up front. And may I request those who are still outside, may you make your way into the auditorium so that we may begin our afternoon program. So as I already said, we are shortly going to have the last presentation by Dr. Gandy Madzalo. And the presentation will be a conclusion of everything that we've been learning over the week. I don't know for you, what are the key takeaways that you've drawn from the lessons that we've had in this whole conference on this topic of health? So we're going to have his presentation, and I hope we'll also be able to share some of the lessons or some of the key takeaways that really hit home for us as an audience. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, church. Good afternoon. I would like to welcome you once again to our last sharing on health. And today I just want to kind of fill the gaps of some of the presentations we're doing the past 3 days. There are some things, because of time, I did not manage maybe to share some practical steps on how it should be done. So I'll try to use this time to fill those gaps. So it's more like a conclusion of what we have been sharing, the topics that we touched from the first day, the second day, and also from the third day as well. So what I'm going to talk about, how do you really do this lifestyle, or what do you call a new lifestyle? How do you really do it at home? You know, it's easy to talk about it in a place like this. Oh, do this, these are the good things, these are the bad things, but where we live in our homes, it's real life. And you need to also to know how do you do it in a real life situation. And that's what I'd like to share with you. Now, if you remember what we have been talking about during the week, number one, we said the greatest motivation for you to enjoy good health should be to glorify God. And the second motivation should be to enjoy a measure of good health by being a steward, a good steward of the body temple that God has given you. I'll give you examples. I have seen how people can be motivated by fear. You know, when you are talking to healthy people or people who think they are in good health, sometimes it's easy for those people to think that, oh no, I'm not ready to do this. Or they can come up with so many excuses why they cannot start it tomorrow. But when you are chronically ill, and the doctors are telling you have so many days to live, believe me, you will do anything that the doctor tells you. And we see this all the time, that when people are sick and they are scared of what may happen next, if you advise them what to do, they will never ask any question. They will just go home and do it religiously. But you see, in that situation, you are motivated by fear. You are scared, maybe this condition may take my life. So you are willing to pay any price, whatever it may be, for you maybe to live a few more days. But you know, the best way to enjoy good health is not to wait until you are in a crisis, you are having a chronic condition, and maybe it is fatal, and now out of fear you want to start exercising. You want to start drinking water. You want to modify your diet. For most people, they do that when it is actually too late, even for those changes to help. And the only thing they could have benefited if it's when they could have started earlier. If they did those changes before they got sick, their body could have been in a better position to respond and even to help them to enjoy a measure of good health. So most of the time we say, eat healthy, eat healthy, eat healthy. But what is eating healthy? You know, they have heard this word that they normally use, professionals, diet and nutrition. Now, these two words, sometimes we use them as if they mean the same thing. But diet is what you eat. Nutrition is what your body needs. That's why we have heard those languages in medical circles when they talk about diet and nutrition. Your diet can be chips and a fizzy drink. Your diet can be beans and the rice. Your diet can be good or it can be a bad one. But nutrition is what your body needs. So when they talk about diet and nutrition, it simply means your diet, what you choose to eat, must be nutritious. It must give the body the nutrients that it needs so that the body can sustain itself. So what do you need? Your body needs protein, it needs carbohydrates, it needs fats, it needs minerals, it needs vitamins, it needs phytochemicals and antioxidants. So where do you get carbohydrates? You can get them from legumes, from grains or products that are made from them. But the best source of carbohydrates is actually the grains. And of course, you can also get a lot of it from the fruits as well. But many people, we have been talking just during the week about the dangers of maybe obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, which may come as a result of consuming too much of the refined carbohydrates. Now, I just want to explain something on the grains. According to the wisdom of creation, if you read the book of Genesis, when God created everything, he said it is good, meaning that it is good for you and it is good for me. Now, the way you see any grain, whether it's rice, wheat, corn, if you eat it the way God created it, without refining it, it is good for you. Because whether it's wheat or corn or rice, it's got different parts. The first part, the outer layer, is fiber. Fiber is a carbohydrate that you don't digest. Its job is to clean your digestive system. It works like a broom. It cleans the colon. Without fiber, you can easily become constipated. You can easily develop hemorrhoids and pyros. And if that constipation takes longer, you can even develop colon cancer. Or maybe if it is also mixed with those emotional issues we are talking about, you are stressed or whatever. This is why when you are eating your carbohydrates, go for brown rice. It has a fiber in it. Go for whole grain sorghum. Go for the whole corn. That's how we are supposed to eat the grain. When you are eating mondogwa, you also eat the heart, that yellow thing, that is the germ. That's where you get vitamin E. Vitamin E is good for your breast health and prostate health. So when you remove that through kukonola and you are eating grand meal or you are eating yoyela, you are actually removing the very same things God said it is good. Now, one thing I have learned in my life in the field of nutrition is that we cannot improve on God. The moment we take something God created and he said it is good, we start refining it and processing it and have this nice white flour which gives you delicious cakes. It becomes a delicious way of getting sick. Because when you remove the fiber from the grain, everything that you eat, when you digest it, becomes glucose. And because there's no fiber, another thing that fiber does, it will bind the excess glucose, make it part of the feces, and throw it away in the toilet. But if the food doesn't have fiber, it means everything that you have eaten, the glucose, all of it, will go into the liver and eventually into the bloodstream, and your blood sugar will go up. So this is why go for the whole grains, when it comes to grains, go brown and don't be embarrassed to eat the whole grains. That does not mean you never eat a refined grain anywhere. But it must never be your lifestyle. There may be places you are stuck somewhere and you don't have more options. All you have is white rice. You can have a little bit of that. But at your home, where you are able to make choices on what to eat, have the brown rice. Bake the whole wheat bread. And you do yourself a favor by doing that. And then when it comes to protein, what do you need from protein? You need the bricks to build the body. You know, you are born this small, 2 kg, 2.5 kg. Today you are a big person because you have been eating protein. Protein, they work like the bricks that we use to build this house. However, by the time we hit 21 years, you know, we don't grow that much anymore. And for most people, their height is decided at the age of 21. Meaning that you don't need more bricks anymore. You only need enough to repair the body because the cells that you have, they keep on dying and we keep on producing new ones. Now, quality, when it comes to protein, is important. What is a quality protein? Quality protein is a protein that have got the 8 ingredients, which are also called the 8 essential amino acids. Now, if you look at things like the beef protein from the beef, it's got all those 8 essential amino acids, plus uric acid is the one that can trigger arthritis, can promote the growth of tumors in your body. It can also be toxic to the liver, but you get all those 8 bricks. You can also get cholesterol with the beef, which can trigger blood pressure, stroke, and things like that. And the uric acid also from the beef is responsible for gout, for arthritis, and rheumatism. That's why if you read the Bible, Leviticus chapter 11, God said, if you want to eat these animals, the clean animals, the blood and the fat thereof, thou shalt not eat. Because in the blood, that's where we get arthritis, gout, rheumatism, and cancer. And in the fat, that's where we get high blood pressure and diabetes. So God was simply saying, I don't want you to be diabetic. I don't want you to have these chronic conditions. So if you want to consume meat, the blood and the fat thou shalt not eat, which is not the case today, because what gives meat its flavor, it's actually the blood. Now, the Bible doesn't say don't eat it. It says the blood and the fat thereof, thou shalt not what? Eat. And many people, when they are reading that text, they just stop where it is talking about the clean and unclean what? Animals. They don't go deeper where it is talking about not eating the fat and the blood, because that's what we enjoy and that's what is delicious. And it becomes delicious all the way until we get sick. Now, but the quality of protein in the meat is actually 100% good. You get all the 8 essential amino acids in the meat, the same thing in the eggs, the same thing in cow's milk, and the same way in the fish. When it comes to, that's the quantity, but the quality is not the best. Now, when it comes to your legumes, your beans, that's your pigeon peas, nandolo, your beans, peas, nsawawa, lentils, they also have protein, but they have only 7 essential amino acids. One of them is missing, it's called methionine. And then when you go to your whole grains, your brown rice, your mondokwa, the sorghum flour, they also have 7 essential amino acids. One of them is missing, it's called lysine. which means when I'm eating brown rice, I'm having protein, but it's not a complete protein that can build and repair my cells. If I'm eating the beans, I'm also eating protein, but it's not a complete protein that the body can use, synthesize to repair my system. But this is the wisdom of creation. The methionine that you don't get from the legumes, you get it from the grains. And the lysine that you don't get from the grains, you get it from the legumes. So which means when you eat brown rice with lentils or with pigeon peas nandolo, you have the same 8 essential amino acids that you get from the beef, the chicken, and the egg. Do you understand that? Now, but if I say, okay, I don't eat the animal-based protein, and I'm eating my lentils and my beans, but I'm eating them with white rice, white nsima, white bread, I'm going to suffer from malnutrition. That's why some people, they say, hey, I tried this plant-based thing until I was looking like I'm coming from where? You know, I lost weight. My friends could not recognize me. It's because you are trying to get protein, which is not complete. You want to eat the delicious refined grains and expect to have complete protein. So the point I'm trying to say is, if you wish, if you desire that you should get your protein from plant-based sources, make sure your grains are whole grains. Then the quality will be the same. Some of you went to secondary school many years ago, maybe back in the 1980s, 1990s. You may remember in secondary schools, we used to eat what we call ganta. You know, it was in gaiwa and beans every day from the first day to the last day. Do you remember those days? And you never suffered from kwashiorkor. You never suffered from marasmus, you know, because the gaiwa and the beans was giving you a complete what? Protein. The same quality of protein that you get from the chicken, from the beef. But if you have to eat beans with nsima yoyela, then you suffer from protein deficiency. So that is the principle that you need to understand when it comes to eating protein. So it's possible to have your protein sources from plant-based sources if you wish to do so. Now, coming to the other thing that we usually don't eat, you know, the minerals are critical for our survival. Now, if you eat this and that, you eat nkululu, you eat this and you eat those, you may get minerals from everywhere. But if you want to get your minerals from plant-based sources, then you need to consume more of the nuts and the seeds. Now, the cheapest seeds in Malawi is pumpkin seeds. You can get them everywhere at Waka Waka Market and all the other places. You can also get flax seed, is becoming more available. Sunflower seeds, they are also the cheapest you can ever get in most of the places in Lilongwe. And then the chia seed, it is also becoming more common. There are minerals that are critical, zinc and selenium. They are responsible for so many things in the body. You know, your immune system, your reproductive system, even how you manage stress, your digestive system, almost each and every system in the body uses zinc. I remember when I was back in school days, when we were studying nutrition, they used to tell us that on exams, if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, just put zinc, because at least you get 1 mark. You know, because zinc is actually responsible for almost everything. So it may not be the answer the lecturer was looking for, but they cannot say you are wrong, because everywhere the body uses zinc. And the people who may consume meat, they get that zinc from the beef. But when you go on a plant-based diet, you cannot be eating gaiwa, cabbage, and beans and expect that your body will have enough minerals. You need to go nuts with nuts. So you need to start looking for some nuts that you can get. And if the nuts are expensive, go for the seeds. Because the nuts, you are talking of almonds and cashew nuts. Yes, you can also use a bit of the G-nuts, even though too much of them can also be a problem. But in nuts in general, you don't use so much. You only take what we call the handful. And the handful is not the mountain of nuts in your hand. It means when you put nuts here, you should be able to close your hand and you shouldn't see them. That's a handful. When you are reading in recipe books, they say put a handful. This is a handful, not a mountain in the hand. Now, if you have to eat your nuts like that, you're going to see that the nuts are not expensive because you can only keep 10 almonds or maybe 12 if you have a bigger hand at a time. And that's what you need to eat per day. And you also need some key minerals like calcium and magnesium. These are the bulk minerals that your body uses on a daily basis. And then you also need a good balance of potassium and sodium. So these minerals that I've mentioned, the 4 ones, you get them mainly from the dark green local vegetables. Yes, you can also get more calcium from sunflower seeds. You may get them from some of the seeds, but your traditional local vegetables, the amaranth, bonongwe, blackjack, chisoso, sweet potato leaves, kolowa, the cassava leaves, the chiguada, those are actually the best sources for you to get calcium and also to get magnesium. And you can also try other vegetables that we usually don't eat, that like the moringa. But if you believe in these Western vegetables, then you are talking of the broccoli, the cauliflower, the curry. They are actually the equivalent, depending also on how they are grown. It's important if you can grow your own vegetables, even if you have to grow them in buckets, in sack bags, grow them organically. It will help you to retain more minerals from them. And you also need, the potassium, which you may get them from veggies, but you also get potassium from fruits like bananas, the green ones, like the plantain, they have more potassium. And you can also get potassium from the same dark green vegetables, but things like carrots and beetroot are excellent sources of minerals as well. In addition, that you may also get vitamin A from the carrots, the beta-carotene, which your liver converts it into vitamin A. You also get iron from beetroot, but the iron that you get from beetroot, the iron you get from spinach, is not hemoglobin. So the liver has to convert that iron that you get from the beetroot and the spinach and from the, from yonkwani, pumpkin leaves, into hemoglobin. And how does the liver do that? It uses zinc and vitamin B6. You get zinc from the seeds, and then you get the B6 from the whole grains. It can be oats, it can be mondokwa, it can be whatever. This is why whole grains and seeds are critical for our health. Because one can be busy chewing the carrots, you're taking the spinach, I need vitamin A, I need vitamin A, but then the body does not have that capacity, your liver, to convert that beta-carotene into hemoglobin, because to convert that iron that you get from the spinach and the beetroot into the active hemoglobin, which your body actually uses. So what am I trying to say to you? Eat whole grains, eat also the root vegetables. And there are some vegetables that are a little bit bitter in your mouth. They do contain a lot of medicinal phytochemicals. Like the other day I gave example of zinkanyanga. I don't know, you have now invented a new name for it, because the name zinkanyanga doesn't sound appetizing. But it's those vegetables that are a little bit bitter in your mouth. What makes them bitter are some medicinal properties. Some can stimulate your immune system. Some can help your liver to detox. That is eliminating some poison from the body. Some can keep your kidneys in good health. So don't always be someone with a sweet teeth. You must also enjoy some of these bitter things. And then you have some healing veggies that are neglected, like the okra. Many people, once they can afford to eat something every day, they don't want to eat okra again. And they may have so many excuses why they cannot eat okra. It is slimy, it is whatever. But okra is one of the most therapeutic veg that your body can actually enjoy. Then we do have some fruits that we also call them vegetables, like tomato. Tomato is a fruit, is not a vegetable, but we use it as a vegetable because of its low sugar content, and it's high, and it's also very high in vitamin C. So it's sour. That's why you can use tomato with vegetables, but you cannot eat together the other fruits with vegetables. There are only, I think, 3 fruits that are found locally in Malawi that you can combine with vegetables: avocado, lemons, and tomato. But the other fruits, if you combine them with vegetables, they can make your veggies to ferment because of the high sugar content that they have. So your stomach becomes a gas factory. And that's why you have heard it over and over again: don't eat your fruits and your veggies on the same meal. It's better to have your fruits for breakfast and maybe your veggies for lunch, except avocado. You can put it in a vegetable salad. Lemons, you can squeeze it instead of vinegar. And even tomato, we always use it as a soup because these are the low sugar fruits that we can eat them together with the vegetables. So that's how you can actually balance up your plant-based diet: fruits, vegetables, nuts, and the whole grains and the legumes. So variety is key. And I said it over and over again that even how you prepare the dishes is actually very, very important. Learn to make your food appetizing. Play around with so many recipes. There's just so much that you can do. You can make, banana yogurt. You can make coconut smoothies. There's just so much that you can do to make a plant-based eating delicious. However, it is very important to know that the purpose of health reform is for you to be in good health. I remember visiting a friend somewhere who was trying to eat a plant-based diet. And when I got there, I realized his children were actually suffering from malnutrition. And I asked him, what do you really eat? And I discovered that at that stage where he was, he could not access the nuts or the seeds. So he was just eating beans, ngaiwa, beans, ngaiwa, beans, ngaiwa. And the children are actually missing a lot. So I told him, my brother, at this stage in your life, go, you see, he was closer to Lake Malawi. I told him, do you see that lake? There's actually fish there. So go and get some mosipa, some bonya, and whatever it is, and make that for these children so that they can be in good health. So I explained to him why whatever was happening to his children was happening. So he went there, he got the bonya, the mosipa, started giving the children. Within 2 weeks, the children recovered because he was giving them protein which was not complete, and a meal that was also deficient in minerals because he could not access the flaxseed, the chia seeds, the almond nuts, and things like that. So what I'm trying to say is when you want to apply the principles of healthful living, do what is realistic and practical in your life. It's not salvation by a knife and a fork. So you have to do what is realistic and practical at that time in your life. If it is realistic and practical in your life to get all these nuts and seeds and legumes and whole grains, that is the best way to live. But if it's not realistic, add some fish. So you can be a vegetarian while you may be working on how you can grow your own chia seeds, how you can have your own pumpkin seeds, how you can grow your own flaxseed, or maybe when you have the capacity to buy them, even though we should always try our best to grow most of these things. So quantity over quality, yes, when you talk about quality, plant-based is the best. Quantity, you get it from the animal-based, but it comes with so many sorrows, especially if you are depending on these hybrid chickens that people are selling in town. That is the best way of inviting chronic diseases. And it's actually the reason we are seeing these chronic conditions increasing in our cities. It's because when we were young, we used to eat chickens once in a while, and there were those local ones that were doing physical exercise outside. Very slim. The bones were very hard. You couldn't break them. And even the portions were very small. I remember when they slaughtered a chicken at home when I was young, you used to eat it not in one day. You remember those days? Today you eat the neck and the wings and the intestines. And then the other day it's that nchafu and another nchafu and chinyomphiro, and you know now the chicken is over, you are back to Eden. And that's how life was like. But today you see someone is getting these hybrid chickens, you just slaughter it, cut it into 4 pieces, and the chicken is gone at one meal, quarter chicken each. And you have seen some people, they eat what they call full chicken. Have you seen something like that? Have you ever done it yourself? You know, turning your stomach into a graveyard of a full chicken at one sitting. And then we wonder, why are we having high blood pressure? Why are we having diabetes? It's because we are actually abusing things that we are already supposed to take them with much care. If at all, we have to use them out of necessity and not out of appetite. So it is also good to include as many variety of fruits as possible. There is a reason why fruits, you get different fruits in each season. Most of the fruits, they protect the body from something that is happening at that time. So you find the citrus fruits, we get them in winter. And what do? They boost our immune system to protect us from the flu that comes in winter. That is wisdom of creation. So you find that most of the fruits that you get mangoes in summer. And when you're eating mangoes, they prevent malaria. We get malaria during what? During summer. So according to God's wisdom, the fruits that you get in each season, it has its purpose. So don't be a specialist of banana. The only fruit that you eat is banana, and it's banana. No, when mangoes are in season, eat. When pineapples are in season, eat them. When avocados are in season, eat them. Eat the fruits that are coming each season. They are actually good and protective for you, especially for the things that you may also be exposed to in that particular season. And yes, there are many people who speak this English. I am not a breakfast person. It sounds good, but it is not that good. Because according to the way God created you and me, our metabolism is faster in the morning than any other time in the day. And if you start the day without breakfast, you actually confuse the system. So you confuse how your body processes food, or what they call metabolism. That's why it's better to have a proper meal in the morning. I said the other day, there's no commandment which says you must have a cup of tea and a slice of bread in the morning. There's no harm to eat rice and nandolo and inkwani for breakfast in the morning. Nothing wrong about it. Make some futali, cook some sweet potato with some peanut sauce in it. It's another excellent way of having a good breakfast. And the fruits, don't do it the way other people eat. Eat them intentionally. Most people, they eat fruits by accident. So today you see pavalantoji, you swallow the whole of it, and you take 1 month before you can eat another banana. Then the other day you have a bucket of mangoes. Oh, today I got mangoes from Nsheu. So you sit down on those 32 mangoes, eat them at one sitting, and you take 2 months before you can eat mango again. That is eating fruits like emergency. But the best way is to become intentional. Make sure you have 1 mango fruit every breakfast. That is the best way. Half a banana every breakfast. Whatever fruits are in season, I think the most affordable fruits are usually those that are in season. That's why go for those fruits that you can always get them in season. It will be the best way of enjoying a measure of good health. So a healthy breakfast, you should have some nuts or seeds. You should have some whole grains. It can be the whole wheat bread that you baked yourself. It can be sorghum porridge. It can be whatever. You can also use the tubers, like the cassava, but just make sure you also have the nuts. Whether you do the futari style, you can also have the sweet potato. You can have the cocoyam, one of those things, and that is your source of carbohydrates. And make sure you have some protein source, which is nuts or seeds, because they stabilize your blood sugar. They help you not to feel hungry in the next 2 hours, so you are not tempted to snacking. If you remember the other day, we spoke about the dangers of snacking. But if you want to snack, because all you had in the morning was rice porridge with sugar, and it pushes your insulin up, and it pushes your blood sugar up, then insulin will push that sugar down, and by 9 o'clock you are hungry again. You start looking for something to chew again. So always make sure, and maybe I've observed it, if you put in sinjiro in your porridge, you become stable in your mind, and you may not feel hungry very soon. But if you don't add in sinjiro in your porridge, you find that 2 hours later, you are already what? Hungry. So then sinjiro stabilizes your blood sugar, so you don't get hungry very soon. That's why nothing wrong to have some beans for breakfast, especially the one that you cook at home, not the sugar beans from the tin where they put a lot of preservatives. And the other thing that I would like to mention is that do yourself a favor. Eat less of the preserved food. When they put chemicals in food so that that food can have a shelf life of 12 months or 2 years, the food that is supposed to rot, those poisons that the bacteria are scared of, they're actually dangerous for you. Our grandparents were wiser than us, even though they never went to school. Because in the olden days, our grandparents, if they see there are some good-looking fruits in the jungle, in the forest, but then they observe no bird is eating it. They never touched it. They used to know it is poisonous. They were learning from nature. Even the mushroom, if they see there's mushroom growing in the forest, but no ants are eating it, they used to know this mushroom is poisonous. They never used to take it home. But we, our generation, you take some crisp from the packet, You forgot it on the table in the evening. And in the morning, it is still good. The bacteria are scared about it, and you are not scared. You end up eating them again. You know, we have to learn from nature. If the moths, the bacteria are scared to eat, it means that food is bad. And how do you know what you're eating is good? If you leave it on the table without putting it in the fridge, when you wake up in the morning, you are going to throw it away, because while you are sleeping, the bacteria will be enjoying it because it is healthy. Because all the things, they only eat what is good. So if it's not smelling, if you can't throw it away, something is wrong. That's why you find the biscuits, you can forget them on the table. Tomorrow morning, you find they're still good. You can still eat them. Bacteria and funguses are scared of them. And yet you're so courageous to eat them. So try to avoid food that has chemicals, that is preserved, because those chemicals, they weaken the immune system. They are weakening your detoxification system, your liver and your kidneys, and they become a reason why we easily get some of these chronic conditions that our body could have been able to defend itself. I remember one professor in Cape Town who was teaching as a nutrition, he used to say, sometimes when you go into the supermarkets and he see these foods that are packed, processed foods that are packed in beautiful packets, and he takes that box and he reads the ingredients at the back. He said it is healthier to eat the box than the food that is inside the box. Because he saw that, the ingredients, the additives and the chemicals that are added to that food, they are actually more toxic than the box that is carrying that food. And he used to say that when you go into the supermarket, before you buy anything, turn the box and read the ingredients. If you can't pronounce them, don't eat it. Because those things that they intentionally write in Greek and Latin, when they know in Malawi we can read English, Tumbuka, Chichewa, and other languages, they are simply trying to hide something which is toxic, so that if they put the simple English name, you will not buy that thing. So maybe I've said enough on that topic. And I think during the week, we also spoke about emotional health. Unfortunately, today, most of even the patients, people that are sick that I meet, maybe not much, what they're eating may just promote it, but it is more to do with what is happening in our emotional life. So it can be family issues, marriages, and all those kind of things that are actually contributing to that. I think during the week, I also touched on the parenting, that even the way we are raising our children, their capacity to handle stress is becoming less and less, because we are cheating them that life is easy, when in reality we know life is what? Life is difficult. So when they're exposed to the tough side of life, their minds are not prepared and ready to handle that. So at home, for those of you who have families, the best families and the happy families are those families who work together as a team. And it seems that's how God designed a family to function. Couples or families where husband and wife and the children, they work together as a team, they also end up being more happier. The bond is strong. And I think even the way they communicate and solve problems together, it makes life much easier. Because when you enjoy building something together, maintaining something together, you have a common or shared life purpose. And that creates more sense of belonging as compared to what we call the individualistic mindset that most people have today. So they live in the same house, they are living together, but they are not together. That is a good source of stress. So if you want to have a home, try to live with your family. I've been advising young people that it's not a good idea. You get married today, someone is living in Blantyre, and another one is living in Lilongwe. Even if you read in the Bible, they used to say, if you get married for the first 1 year, don't go where? To war. Because that's the period you emotionally bond. Now, the moment you start running your marriage on WhatsApp, just because there is WhatsApp, it's not actually a good idea. And you need to remember that, your career, your business is there to save your marriage, not your marriage to save your career or business. Do you understand that? Meaning that if you come to a crossroad where you have to choose between your family and your career, you should choose what? The family. And I remember in the days of our mothers, when the father is transferred, the mother is also going where? The same place, follow the husband. And I remember the other time we were living in Rumpi with my friends, and there were not so many corporates in Rumpi then. So there used to be some mothers that I never knew they were graduates because they were just like house mothers. But when we left Rumpi, we came to Lilongwe, and those people were also transferred to Lilongwe. I discovered those mothers are now working in the corporate. And I was like, this woman, she's also a graduate. But it's just because at that moment, she chose to be with the husband and the children instead of nurturing the career. Being a mother is actually supposed to be there. And the way you make money should come down there. Because a lot is lost. And I spoke about even how children are destroyed emotionally when parents are prioritizing their career life over the children. Because the children, they value your presence, your guidance, and your protection. They don't value how much money you have, what kind of a car you're driving. You find even children in the village who are sleeping in a mud house, such one, they are busy dancing, they are so happy because the mommy and dad is there. The presence of mom and dad is the whole world for a child. The children, they don't need your money, they need you. And I'm not saying you should not make money. All I'm trying to say is when you have little children, venture for something that will make you present at home. You can still make money from home today, isn't it? There are so many businesses that you can do from home. So if you are a mother, you have little children, rather look for something that will give you more time to be at home other than running everywhere, and then you end up losing the family and you also lose your own children. So the modern way of living, it's really creating a crisis in families, and a family that was supposed to be a source of happiness, it is becoming a source of stress and depression. Many people, they even wonder, when will this marriage certificate going to expire so that I can be happy again? Because happy marriages, it's when you are working as a team with a wife, you are planning together, you are praying together, you are saving together, and even best, you are doing business together. And I admire our friends, the Indian communities, how they work together as a family, and how that also enhances the emotional bond within the family. And it is very important, even if for those of you who are blessed, you are entrepreneurs, involve your children in the family business. That's how you create a sense of belonging, emotional security. emotional bond, but also that's how these children, they can actually sustain the multi-generational wealth that you are creating. You see, we, the black people, how we do it, you have a shop, and you name it the name of your daughter, Kathy, what boutique. But this Kathy doesn't know what you're doing. You're doing it alone, you do everything alone. I always see our friends, the Asians, when they are going to Dubai to order the goods, they go the whole family with their children. And by the age, if the child reaches 20 years, 22, he has taken over the business of the parents. The father has retired. You know, I remember one day I went to Area 2. I had a friend of mine, an Indian. He had a shop. So I used to go to him. He also used to come to my clinic and was referring more people. And the other day I said, let me go and check on him. When I went there, I found his son. 15 years ago, he was this young. Now he's the one running the big shop. I said, where is the father? He said, he has retired. But we work until we have no teeth. Our children, they are 33 years old, they're just watching Manu at home. They don't know how to run the business that we are running because we don't involve them. They are growing up, but they are still kids. We are carrying them on the back instead of you training them, mentoring them, so that as you get older, they take over. You can just become a coach and a mentor. And that's why we have these children who are going into drugs, who are going into all these crises, but they are feeling useless. They don't feel they are important. Or you are just feeding them like you are feeding a dog at home. Children, they should learn to work, to sweat, to think, and to solve problems at a very young age. So don't spare them from hardship. Let them know how to solve them and solve them together with them because you are helping them to grow up and to become a man. Let me stop there according to our time, and maybe before I close, there may be one or two questions. I'll just give you 7 minutes, and at 10 past, I'll be sitting down. There may be a question or a comment. Okay, if there's none, we'll end there. And, okay, there's one.
Thank you very much for the very good presentation and very good information. I just wanted to ask, in regards to animal fat, I think you mentioned that if we are to eat the meat, it doesn't have to have the fat. Of course, of late, there is like so much information on social media, whatever, and some few people seem to be advocating more the use of animal fat as compared to the vegetable fat. Mm-hmm. So what's your comment on that?
Okay, I don't know, you mean they say we should eat more of the animal fat?
Yeah, I think especially in terms of use, in comparison to the vegetable oils.
To the refined cooking oils.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I think really it depends on you want to get sick from what. Because both refined cooking oils and the animal fats, they are all bad in their own way. So the animal fat, you are talking of cholesterol. This is the fat that becomes usually solid at room temperature. When you cook your beef, it gets cooler. You see it in the plate. So you warm it in a microwave and you drink it very quickly before it becomes solid again. because you think you are saved by doing that. But you forget that your body temperature is 37 degrees. That fat becomes solid again in your arteries, forming plaques and triggering high blood pressures. While when you're talking of the triple refined cooking oils, that the moment you burn it, when you are baptizing your chips in cooking oil, you're frying your mandas, you're frying whatever, they actually end up in becoming free radicals. And the free radicals, they are actually the enemy of your immune system. They suppress the immune system, and too much of it becomes actually even toxic to the liver. That's why not a good idea to be eating deep fried potatoes if you can bake them, if you can boil them, because options are there. It's not the chips which is bad. You can make those cubes and then grill them and still have something that looks like chips, but it's not deep fried. So both types are bad in their own way. But if you want fats that are good, then you can have your avocados, your peanut sauce, even the nuts and the seeds. And you can also cook with coconut. That's what I like doing at home. I always buy this coconut that they sell at the market about 2,000 kwacha each. So we make our own coconut milk and we cook vegetables and beans in a coconut. It is actually one of the healthy way of getting the healing fats. So it's basically shifting from the tradition and become adventurous in the way we prepare our meals. But using refined cooking oils and then comparing with animal fat is just choosing the path of sickness you want to get at the end of the day. Thank you. Another question, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. It's very great for all of us. I think for me, as far as what is presented, I would always want really to choose that path. But sometimes I think about our country, Malawi, and our climate things. Mm-hmm. You also talked about quantity versus quality, to say that the animal, the animal fat, the animal proteins really are in quantity, but now the quality-wise, we're not getting the best proteins that we need for us. But now if you talk about the plant-based proteins, they are of good quality. Now my question comes to say, are we sure, like for our climate and for our country, that we can be able to get all those foods throughout the year? Are they readily available? Are we at the point where you can say, yeah, these are really enough in Malawi and we are okay and we can really do that? Or maybe there's also another problem to say that as far as those foods are good, but maybe availability could be a problem for us to sustain ourselves throughout the year. So what's your assessment? Are these foods readily available, and not just available, but are they available throughout the year that they can sustain us for us to have those ones? The second question is that I just think about this diet, which is a good one, to say, can we, would you give me maybe a 1 week suggestion to say what can we eat? Because I seem to be so limited. So, okay, fine, today I'll have maybe gaiwa with beans. What about tomorrow? What about the other days? It seems that I think we are still limited to what we can eat here in Malawi, depending again on our climates as compared to other countries. So, yeah, I just wanted to hear your views on those elements. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I'll close by answering those two questions, not because of our time. The first question that you have asked about the availability of food. There is a difference between national food security and the food security of your home. Because when we are talking about national food security, then we are going to think on those volumes and quantities. Like, for example, this morning I was preaching at another church along Salima Road, and some members, it's a village church, some members, they told me that they stay 3 days without food. There's hunger. So it's not even about even refined food, but lack of what? Lack of food. So when you look into national security or national food security, it's a different story altogether, because there are so many dynamics that come into play. Even the politics is there. In fact, the moment you start discussing nutrition at national level, you are talking politics. Because you can't talk about that topic without touching even the roles that different parts in government have to play in order for us to have that food security that we all wish and we all desire. However, what we are talking about this afternoon, we are focusing at your home. What you can do at your home. So what you can manage to do at your home, another family cannot manage to do. You have to individualize it. I don't know if you are here at the beginning of the lesson. I did mention that there are some people who cannot afford these nuts. It may become necessary for them to include some bonya, some usiba in their diet. Because when it comes to family level nutrition, you are now looking at what you can afford. If you can afford everything that we are saying here, you can go to the Indian shops in town, get flaxseed, chia seeds, sunflower seeds, then you can do it. So that's where you start. If you can grow your own vegetables at home, you have a piece of land, you can grow bonongwe and chisoso and telele, and you can plant them like the way I have done at my home. 80% of what I eat at home comes from my garden. I have 32 fruits from my garden that I'm eating. I started planting them 5 years ago because I knew that a time will come, I will not afford to buy grapes from flowers, but I do eat grapes from my garden. I cannot afford to buy strawberry in town every day, but I've got lots of strawberry in my garden. I cannot afford to buy those 10,000 watermelons every day, but I have lots of watermelons at home that I plant from time to time. So you have to think home-wise. At your home, how can you build a healthy home? When your home is in good health, then you see how you can support those poor families. Because some of them, all they need is knowledge. And now that takes me to your next question. Do we have the variety in Malawi? Yes, our problem is one thing. We worship in Nsima. Chipembedzo cha Nsima ndi chimene chikutipweteka ku Malawi. Because it is possible for you just to cook manokola cassava and eat it with your beans, with your osipa and nkwanotendela and enjoy your lunch. It doesn't need to be kadaundamadzi. Because the moment you are going that route, you're only thinking of 3 options: rice and nsima, and maybe spaghetti if you like it. But it's possible for you to eat like the way our friends eat in East Africa. You can cook sweet potato and eat it with ndiwo. You can cook cassava, eat it with ndiwo. You can cook the cocoyam and eat it with ndiwo. In Nkatabe, people, they eat plantain and they eat it with ndiwo. And it becomes lunch. So if you are thinking like that, if you detoxify Chipembedzo cha Nsima, if we stop worshipping the grains, we can discover that in Malawi we have variety. In fact, according to Bunda, I can't remember, they say Malawi is actually one of the richest countries in Africa when it comes to variety of foods. Only that we specialize on beef and chicken, as if you're in Ethiopian Airlines, chicken or beef. So when you go to area 13 there, you are just thinking of chicken or beef. But where is Telele? Where is Zinkanyanga? What about Nkungutsu? What about all those other things that God has given us in this country? Denje, Mamunari, Gone. We are actually one of the richest countries in Africa, Malawi, when it comes to variety. So when you talk about sustainability, all we need is to change is our mindset. We must not connect food with Nsima. You can have cooked bananas, you can have sweet potato, you can have cassava as lunch, not just as breakfast. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord sustain you. as you go home, try to start somewhere. The most important thing when you want to take the path to wellness is not perfection. You just need to start somewhere, and you grow one step at a time. May God bless you. Amen.